Welcome to another episode, Middle Ground with L.L.C, where we treat you like family. That is the theme song, Detroit Love, off my first album, The JL Experience. I own the music and copyright, so don't mute none on Facebook or anybody with these social platforms. We got another great guest for you, family. She was a guest before when I was doing it out the trunk with the audio. Now we're doing it on screen. We have dyslexic literacy leader, certified author, greeting card designer, keynote speaker, educational consultant, and Heritage Home and Garden LLC founder and owner, Robin M. Wilson. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey, for having me back. It's good to be back.
I appreciate you. So, first question, what led you to this new path?
Well, as you know from our conversation last year, I came into this new year with high hopes for growing my educational consulting practice. And I have. And I actually earlier this year, I graduated from the second cohort of its entrepreneurial boot camp that was hosted by Comerica Bank and the National Entrepreneurs Association. So I became a certified entrepreneur, and so did my first company, Robin Wilson Educational Consulting, LLC. And when the springtime came, I was nearing the end of the school year because at that time, as you know, I was also teaching. I was still teaching in the classroom because, as you shared earlier, I'm also a certified teacher. So I am a gardener outside of being an educational consultant, being a certified teacher, and all the other things that you mentioned. I'm a gardener. I have been gardening for 9 years now. The only year that I did not garden was last year, but I'm a gardener and I knew that I wanted to have more space to garden. So 3 years ago, I applied for a gardening plot on the Hill at the University of Michigan, Dearborn. Now it's a gardening community, it's an organic gardening community, and U of M is my alma mater, and that's actually how I'm familiar with the gardening community. And
Okay.
I was told at that time that there was a waiting list. And so I asked to have my name placed on the waiting list. And then in the springtime of this year is when I learned that my name was at the top of the list. And so they asked me if I still was interested in purchasing a plot. And so I said yes. And my husband, he went out with me to clear the field because we had to clear the plot. All that was growing there at the time when I picked my plot was weeds, and the weeds were as tall as I am, and I'm 5'5", and my husband is almost 6 feet, and I actually think those weeds were a little bit taller than me. But he went out with me in April, and he helped me to clear the land so that we could start planting. Now, I knew that whatever overflow we had, I would want to take it to our local market to sell it because I had a plan, in mind from the very beginning. And I knew that I wanted to take the overflow to market. However, I did not think that it would become a second business until I actually start going to the market with my produce. And I not only receive requests for further orders. I had individuals who became return customers, and they, one of my customers on my first day at the market asked me if I plan to continue to grow my produce. And so I told him yes. And he said, well, my father owns a local grocery store. It's a small food store. And he said, I would like to give your information to him. Is it okay for me to pass your information on to him? And so I said yes. But in my mind, I was thinking to myself, I have to do my market research. I have to figure out if it's feasible for me to go in this direction because, again, I had not thought that far. in it in
Okay.
ahead in terms of selling to local markets outside of outside of the farmers market. And
Hmm.
it really got my wheels turning because I started to see that there's a demand for what I love to do. And granted, some hobbies and some pastimes don't work well as a business, but for me, really my business, my second business, Heritage Home and Garden LLC, it really has grown organically because it's really grown out of people asking me for more of what I'm producing, whether
Hmm.
it's foods or whether it's greeting cards, because now we've expanded our offerings to having handmade greeting cards and home goods. And again, those are all things that I've long enjoyed doing, but I never thought of it as a business until I started getting requests. And not only getting requests, people saying, I'll pay you to ship me, some of your produce. I've shipped produce to Florida. I've shipped,
Nice.
our greeting cards to Pennsylvania and other places. And I had one customer tell me that she was sending one of her greeting cards to France to a loved one in France. And it really made me smile because France is someplace that is really special to me. I've been there, and it was just something amazing about thinking about the fact that I have a greeting card that came from my hands that I made by hand that's now in someone else's hand across the world.
There you global.
On
There
going global. Yes.
you go. Good
Yes.
stuff. Now,
Yes.
how did you come up with the name for Heritage Home and Garden?
Well, we know you and I, we both know Sister Tisha Hammond. And I was so excited when I first learned that I got my plot at the University of Michigan, Dearborn. And so I text Tisha and I said, Tisha, I said, I got my land. And she was really excited for me. And you know what? She actually asked me, what are you going to call your garden? She always said, Robin Wilson. She said, "What are you going to call your garden?" And so it made me think, what am I going to call my garden? Because I hadn't thought about naming my garden, but I thought it was a great idea, And so I chose Heritage Garden because there's a scripture that talks about how God gives land as a heritage, and I knew that this was God's timing for me to have this land that I
Mhm.
so really desired to have. And then also Heritage Garden comes from the fact that in my family we have historically been landowners. And so
Okay.
my parents did not own land. However, my great grandparents who came from Boley, Oklahoma, and they were born in Texas, but then in their adolescence, their families moved to Boley, Oklahoma. And really, the history behind that move was rooted in fleeing racism because they were driven out of their hometowns in Texas, in Jasper, Texas, due to Klan activity. There was a lot
Mhm.
of activity amongst the Klan. And my family has actually owned land even before coming to Michigan, but they were chased off of
Okay.
their land. And so I am thankful that I know about my family's history because I know that I have roots that go deep. And I also know that what I'm doing, it's an extension of a legacy that I have within my family. And it's a part of my heritage. My family, like many African American families, were and are resilient. As I share with you, my great grandparents moved my great grandparents and, to Boley, Oklahoma. And then my great grandparents met in Oklahoma, married. My great grandfather was 18 when he met my great grandmother. She was 16. And back in that day, they married young. That's right. That wasn't uncommon at all. And so they started their family in Boley, Oklahoma. And for those who are listening, Boley, Oklahoma is significant historically to the Black community as a whole, because Boley actually had the first electrical company, Black-owned electrical company in the country. And Booker T. Washington, amongst other boosters, went to Boley, Oklahoma to support Black-owned businesses because it was like Tulsa. It was a Black town. And it was a prosperous Black town back in its heyday. And they still have a lot of wonderful history there, even today. So, but at that time, it was a very prosperous Black town. But then when the Great Depression happened, it hurt a lot of people, including the Black community. And so it really necessitated the need for, at least for my family, to look for other opportunities outside of that community. So my great grandfather, Burl Henry Vesey, he brought my family to Detroit in the early 1930s. And my great grandpapa Vesey, he worked in construction. And so before he brought my great grandmother and my grandmother and her siblings to Detroit, he came first to look for work. So that was a part of the Great Migration. And he found work. And once he found work in the construction industry, he then sent for my great grandmother and his children. And my grandmother was among them. My great grandparents had 13 children total.
Wow.
And my grandmother, my grandma Vondale, she was someone who I was really close to growing up. I never had a chance to meet my grandpapa Vesey. He passed away before I was born. But my grandma Vesey, Narville Vesey, she was also someone who I knew very well growing up, because she actually lived to be about 90. She was 98 years old when she passed away. And I'm, for those who are listening, I'm 38. So, I'm thankful now that I knew not only my grandparents, but my great grandparents, because it was really only until I became an adult that I realized not everyone, has had those experiences. But I share all that to say my great grandparents, they didn't come from a wealth per se, but they were hard workers. Excuse me. They were hard workers, and by the time they retired, they owned more than 150 acres of land.
Wow, that's a lot. And shout out to the small business cheerleader, Tisha Hammond, whose family. She helped me out with my designs for my flyers in the beginning.
She's awesome.
Her now. Good people.
She is good people. She is.
Now, when you do the farmers market, is that in the Dearborn area?
Yes, it is in the Dearborn area. Now, I don't know at this point if we're going to do the farmers market next year. And I share that only because now we're a supplier for a local cafe. And so, yes. So that actually came about because I sent out a research survey to local businesses, just really trying to do my market research to understand what the produce needs are in our local area, in the Metro Detroit area. Because
Mm-hmm.
again, as you know, my background is in education. And while I do have a background in business, my realm of operation has typically been in the nonprofit sector. I worked in the nonprofit sector for more than 10 years because I started a literacy nonprofit organization. And I've also worked for one national organization, the Boys and Girls Club. I served for some time as their education director in Southfield, Michigan. So my background is solidly rooted in education, but I think that that has helped me significantly because I'm a lifelong learner. So when there's something new that I'm tackling or I'm taking on, I'm not looking at it from the standpoint of, oh, I don't know about this, or I don't know if I can do this. I don't think that way. I'm very much curious, and I'm a researcher. I know how to do research, and so when I started getting the requests from customers at the marketplace and also from my market research surveys that I was sending out and the feedback that I was receiving and the questions for, the requests for product list and things
Mm-hmm.
like that, let me know that, okay, I am in a space that I need to be in, but I
Mm-hmm.
just need to learn a little bit more about the space that I've just stepped into so I can give myself the best opportunity to be successful. And that's exactly what I've done and what I will continue to do. So when I got the request from the local cafe, it let me know for sure that I needed to incorporate my business within the state of Michigan, because in the state of Michigan, you don't have to have, I learned from taking a course, you don't have to have a food license to sell produce from your farm or from your garden,
Okay.
as long as you are not packaging that produce in the form of another product, such as tomatoes in the form of salsa. If you're just simply selling the tomatoes as they come from your garden, then what I learned, at least in the state of Michigan, is you don't have to have a food license, but what you do have to have is your business formally incorporated with the state of Michigan. So that's exactly what I did, with the support from my husband. I incorporated my business, and since then we've not only become a supplier for a local cafe, but we've also secured a conference this upcoming, excuse me.
Awesome. Keep grinding. Okay.
Correct. We
Yeah, take a drink.
mhm. We secured a contract for a conference that's coming up next Saturday, where I have designed all of the greeting cards for the women's conference. And so we're really growing. And I was also recently accepted into the 313 Strong program, which is a program for entrepreneurs through Tech Town, Detroit. And so I have the resources and the community around me to really move forward in a successful way. And I'm just excited because we're growing and I'm continuing to learn about the industry that I'm now in.
Okay. Well, I definitely gonna need that connect to interview somebody over there at the Boys and Girls Club from you. When you get a chance.
Okay, I'm more than happy to do that for you.
Need that in
Yeah.
my life.
Yes.
All right. Now, I guess that after this, marketing you time. Everything you got going on.
Yes. Um, is your question, how do I take care of myself?
No, this is the promote you segment. Everything you got
Oh,
going
this,
on. This is here
okay,
for you.
that's what you meant, marketing me. Okay, this is
Mm-hmm.
marketing me time. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so
Take
yes.
time.
So as I shared, I make homemade greeting cards. I make them by hand, but I am actually getting ready to explore options to print my designs on cards so that I can mass produce them, because my handmade greeting cards, like the one that I'm showing you right now, It takes some time to create them. And I create them with care, and they come in these really nice clear cellophane covers.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually had a meeting with a local boutique owner in Detroit, and she requested several of my cards. So I will keep you updated on where you can go soon to be able to get some more of my cards. But these are just a couple of examples of my cards. Now, this particular card has also sold at auction because I've been going to the Detroit, it's called the Detroit Artist Breakfast Club. And it's a space for artists to auction off their creative works. And I have sold several cards there.
Mm-hmm.
This is another example of my Be Still card, and people really love this one. And thank you, Kimberly. I see where Kimberly said beautiful cards. I'm going to open one of them just so your viewers can see what this one looks like on the inside. Now, some of my
Okay.
cards have things inside of them in terms of sayings. So I'm just holding this one
Okay,
up.
that looks awesome.
Can see it, and I will read what it says on the inside. So it says be still on the outside, but then it says God is working things out for your good and for his glory. Be encouraged. And then the scripture from Psalms 46:10 reads, he says, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. And so this one is really popular, and a lot of people are buying this one. In fact,
That's awesome.
excuse me, the conference that I'm doing next Saturday, which is the B event, it's called the B event. They ordered this card.
All right. What time's the event Saturday?
I'm sorry, Jeffrey.
Drink some water. Take your time. Just show about you. You good?
I am trying not to
You good. This is just a chill
exhaust.
spot here. Take your time. You're all right.
Thank you. I am getting over a cold. And so for those who are listening, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to
Middle
control
ground, we
my
don't
cold.
judge. We want you to do you.
Okay. I'm good now.
Now,
But
you
this
said
is
the B for the Saturday event?
the Saturday event goes from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And that's Eastern Standard Time. And it's in Spring Lake, Michigan. And it's called the B event. And it's a women's event to encourage women on their entrepreneurial journeys, basically their leadership journey in general, to be quite
Mm-hmm.
honest, and in
Okay.
their personal development. And a friend of mine, Keisha Newton, invited me to be a part of the event, and she's speaking. And I reached out to find out more about the conference, and then I was invited to create the cards for the event. And so I'm thankful that she invited me, and I'm thankful to Megan Heritage for inviting me to do the cards for the event. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was pretty ironic that her last name is Heritage.
That is pretty dope.
Yes. Yes, yes. So we will be there, and it's open. Registration is still open at least until next week, early next week. So if you are in the Grand Rapids area, I encourage you to join us. And you can also, again, stay connected with me directly. And I know that Jeffrey, you asked me about our website, and our website is actually under development right now. So it won't be released until the latter part of December, but it will be before Christmas. And until then, people can follow me on our Instagram page
Cross
at,
screen.
at Heritage. Is Heritage Home and Garden Company. And you can also follow me on LinkedIn and on Facebook at Robin M. Wilson. And I always share information about where we will be for selling our products leading up to the dates of our events. And so we have a couple of events coming up, not only the B event, but we will also be at Tech Town on the 30th of November, and that's from 12 noon to 2 p.m. And I'll be there selling not only my greeting cards and pillows, but I will also be selling copies of my children's book, Mama Got Rhythm, Daddy Got Rhyme. And I want to thank Tech Town for selecting Heritage Home and Garden as a vendor for that event. And we also teach classes as well. So this Monday, I'll actually be at Hannon Center in Detroit working with 15 seniors within their community and teaching how to make homemade holiday greeting cards for their families. And I'm also going to be at, it's called Design Studio 6 in Detroit on the 3rd of December. And I'm teaching a class on the 3rd of December from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. for anyone who is interested in learning how to make handmade greeting cards for the holidays. I will be there, and I can share registration information with you if you follow me again on LinkedIn, because I will post it there and I'll share it across my social media. But I also wanted your listeners to know that if they have a community center or you have a school that you would like me to come and teach your young people or your adults how to make handmade greeting cards, I do that as well through my company.
Merchandise?
Merchandise? Not yet, but the key word is yet, because we're getting there. I'm working on some designs for t-shirts and hats and things like that I'm looking forward to unveiling to the public, because you will be seeing me in my merchandise. You will be seeing me in my t-shirts. Yes, I'm going to definitely represent Heritage Home and Garden, so just stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I don't know if you know Regina Ragland. She does a lot of that stuff.
Yes, she is amazing. I love Regina. She is someone who has designed boxes for Robin Wilson Educational Consulting for the courses that I teach through my consulting practice. And I actually spoke to her earlier today, and I asked her, could she design the shipment boxes for me? And she is so kind, because even though we do business together, I say we do business and we do life to a certain degree together, because she will sometimes send me messages of encouragement. And recently she sent me something special in the mail, because she knows that I design handmade greeting cards. So she sent me some charms for the note cards that I make. And I actually spoke to her earlier today, and I thanked her for that, because she didn't have to do that. And I definitely didn't know that she was going to do that. So it was a beautiful surprise. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Sister Tisha, because recently she also bought a custom greeting card from me to give as a thank you gift to someone.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else you need to market, promote?
You know, what I would say is that if you are, I just really have a message for those who are listening, who are considering doing something in business. Maybe you have an idea and you're not quite sure, if you should pursue it. What I just want to share with you is get into a supportive community. I do have one more promotion, and
Mhm.
it's a promotion that's related to my community because I belong to the Christian, it's called Christian Businesswomen Leading Bible Study. And I'm sharing this information because we're actually meeting tomorrow on Zoom. We always meet every second Saturday of the month. And we take a break for the summer, but then we resume and we meet throughout the year. And I'm sharing this information with your listeners because if you are a Christian business owner, or if you are a Christian woman who is just really considering starting a business and you're looking for a supportive community, I strongly encourage you to join us. Tisha Hammond, who I know I've mentioned several times already, but Tisha, she's the international best-selling author of Daily Devotional for Entrepreneurs, Your Season to Grow. And we read her book as a part of our Bible study. And we not only apply the lessons that she offers in her book as a way to grow our walk with the Lord, but we also use it to help us grow our businesses using biblical principles. So,
Great book.
why am I sharing that? I'm sharing that because it is directly related to the work that I've done this year, especially because I didn't know that, as I share with you, I didn't know that I was going to have 3 plots of land this year. I mean, I couldn't have envisioned that. I knew that I wanted the land, but I didn't know, when I say I couldn't have envisioned that, I didn't know that this was going to be my year for that to come to fruition. But
Mhm.
it did. And you know what? There's a process for reaping, for sowing and reaping. And you have to cultivate. It's not just about planting a seed. It's about
Mhm.
cultivating that seed to make it grow. And the same is true in our businesses. Your seed might be right now the idea that you have for your business, but in order to get the growth that you want and to move forward, you have to put it in the ground. Not only do you have to put it in the ground, but you have to have a commitment to cultivating that seed or those seeds that you're planting for your future, because nothing is just going to come to pass without work. And I always say work and wait. And what I mean by that is work, you do the work and you carry out the assignment that God has given you.
Mhm.
And then you wait on him to bring the increase, because it is going to come. Just like when you put a seed in the ground and you water and you weed and you prune and you do all of those things that you need to do in the cultivation process, you're going to get something out of it. The increase is going to come. The fruit is going to come on that vine. It's going to come if you don't give up. And that's one thing that I can truly say that I've seen even in my own entrepreneurial walk. Sister Tisha and other women who are part of our Christian Women Leading Bible Study, they have encouraged me in numerous ways, and we've ministered to one another, and they've supported me as I've transitioned into full-time entrepreneurship, because I'm still a teacher, as I shared with you. I still view myself as a teacher because I very much am at heart. And I now
Mhm.
just use my teaching skills in my businesses. I teach how to make greeting cards through my Heritage Home and Garden. I teach writing classes and for young people through my educational consulting practice, Robin Wilson Educational Consulting. So I'm still teaching. I'm just teaching in a different setting. And I'm so pleased that I have the support that I need, because we all need support. So I would just offer that to your listeners who may be looking for a support group that is Christ focused, and we would welcome you to join us tomorrow. But if you're not able to join us tomorrow, you're always welcome to join us. We meet every second Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. And we also have a prayer line in Clubhouse that meets every Saturday. Whether it's summertime or not, we meet every Saturday for our prayer line from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. in the morning. So I welcome you to join us.
That's awesome. Anything else
Yeah.
you got to market?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
Okay. Next question. How has it been networking with the produce growing community?
I have found so many resources and supports because I've gone looking for them. And that's really it, because there's so much information and resources out there. Even if you don't originate from a certain industry,
Mm-hmm.
there's always someone who you can reach out to in Google. Even, there's resources that you can
True.
Google, communities that you can become a part of. So one of the first resources that I reached out to was actually the Eastern Market, and
Okay.
they have what's called Connect Kitchen. Is based in Eastern Market, and that's actually where I went to take my class to learn more about what I needed to do to start my business. And I incorporated the things that I learned in that class and also from talking to others in my business plan. So I would say also another really great resource for me has been like my local access organization. It's called Access, and they have resources and programs for entrepreneurs here in Dearborn. So I've tapped into those resources as well, and just really talking to individuals, other gardeners, even not just in my gardening community that I belong to, but other gardeners within
Mm-hmm.
the Detroit area,
Okay.
because they really helped me to understand where they source their seeds, and for wholesale pricing and things
Okay.
like that, so that I can cut my cost as I'm ordering my
Nice.
my seeds and my products that I need. So that's been my experience, and I think that if you're considering pivoting and going into a field that maybe perhaps you have not operated a business in, I would say that go for it, as long as you're willing to do the research and you're willing to surround yourself with others who you can learn from, because you're always going to be learning. And just don't be afraid to speak up and ask questions, because if you're afraid to speak up and ask questions and do your research, it's going to be a hard road. But if you're willing to do that work, then you can make a lot of headway.
Okay. What is your biggest challenge?
What is my biggest challenge in business?
Mm-hmm. With
Or
this company.
in business? Okay. I would say right now, one of my biggest challenges is just figuring out how to position myself in the market, because I know that I have a unique product line and things to offer, but it's really just connecting more broadly with
Okay.
the vendors who are also looking for my products, the things that I have to offer. I can tell you that, like my greeting cards, for example, someone asked me, "Oh, do you see your greeting cards being in Hallmark?" I haven't gotten a call from Hallmark, but I will say I don't really view my cards as being commercial.
Okay.
In terms of my marketing strategy, I really am interested at this point to marketing my products, at least my greeting card line, to boutiques and specialty stores, because those are the places where people go to find one of a kind, unique gifts. And so that's really my market. So right now, one of the challenges that I'm having is just really trying to figure out how to reach out to those places, to those boutiques more
Okay.
broadly. And I think, you always have to grow in stages, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes growing quickly is not always a good thing. You want to be intentional about your growth. For example, I had to buy inventory so that I could have enough products on hand as I'm getting orders, so that when I receive an order, I'm not scrambling to get, the
Mm-hmm.
items that I need to make the products that I create. And if I had, you know, um 100,000 orders right now, because at least with my handmade greeting cards, I'm not ready for that yet. I have to
Okay.
scale to that because I don't have the inventory to fill that large of an order yet. But it's okay because, I've just fulfilled a 225, car order. And so we just take steps, right? So I'm just
It's a
trying
process.
to is a process. That's right. That's exactly what I'm saying. And I'm just being intentional about how I'm scaling my business so that I can give myself and my business the best opportunity to thrive long term, because I want to be around for years to come.
Okay. Now, maybe check into God's world, since some of your cards have a scripture based theme to them.
I definitely will do that.
Just a thought. Um,
Absolutely.
what has been your impact with your services from your business?
You know, I really enjoy hearing from my clients. I enjoy hearing what my products and my services mean to them. So some
Mhm.
things that I've heard from clients for Heritage Home and Garden is that they really liked that. I had one woman who told me how she was looking for a gift for her friend who is of a Native American tribe, and she was getting ready to have a ceremony. Her and her husband had married them,
Okay. Nice.
and she was looking for a gift. And she said it was actually this card, the peacock, the peacock card.
Okay.
And she purchased this peacock card, and she said it was perfect because she said it actually was the exact colors of their wedding and of
Nice.
their day. And so she said, and their symbol is the peacock, and she said she wasn't expecting to find a card like that. And so she purchased my card. And she said when she came back to me, because she was a returning customer, she said when
Nice.
she came back, she told me that her friend really just adored the card, and it warmed her heart because she was also surprised that she found a card with a peacock on it with the same exact colors of her tribe.
Nice.
Yeah, so that means a lot to me because I think that my cards are unique because to some degree, they tell a story. They're layered. And I think most of us are layered, as
That's
people, we're
true.
layered.
That is true.
So we're not always it's simple, we're layered. And so I think
Absolutely.
that
I
that's
can
right.
understand. I do a
That's
lot of
right.
stuff myself. I can understand.
Yes. So, I know that that's one thing that I've just really enjoyed about going to market days with my products, because I always have a picture of my great grandmother and great grandfather sitting out. And I said, even once we have a brick and mortar, I'm going to make sure that I hang up my family pictures in my store. And you definitely will see, just as like
That's gonna be.
I'm giving you like a foreshadowing. You're definitely going to see
I'm
pictures of
agreeing with you.
my my family on my website in December once we launch our website. But in displaying my family photo of my great grandparents, what I
Mhm.
found is that many of my customers began to share their family stories too. Even if their families never owned land, they would just open up and start sharing stories about their family. And so that has become a way for me to connect with my customers and even potential customers, because sometimes people would just stop by my booth and they would ask about the picture, and then in asking about the picture, then they would start asking about my cards and my produce, and it actually led to them buying some of my products. And so I think that there's a element of connection there, that when people feel a sense of connection not only to you and your brand story, they are more interested in learning about your products too. And then when they can see themselves reflected in the products that you create, then it really lends itself to brand loyalty.
Well, when you open that store, we're gonna do a live show from there.
Yes,
We're
I
gonna do
am
that.
all for it.
I'm with you. High five.
Speak that. Yes,
Last question. What
yes.
advice do you have for someone trying to find their purpose?
I would just say, you know what, be patient in the process. Finding your purpose, it is a process. And you know what, there's more than one way to live out your purpose. So for me, I truly, truly believe, at least as a believer in Christ, that part of what God has called me to do is to teach. And as I share with you, I transitioned out of the classroom earlier this year, but I'm still a teacher. So whether
Mhm.
I'm teaching people how to make greeting cards, or I'm teaching young people how to do reflective journaling and writing, or teaching, organizational leaders how to increase learning outcomes around literacy, all of those things that I do, those are elements of teaching. And so I share that because I think what I struggled with for a while before I actually made the transition was that I felt like, if I transition out of the classroom, am I turning my back on my calling? Am I turning my back on my purpose?
Mhm.
And you know what? The answer is no. There's more than one way to live out your purpose. And you always want to make sure that you are in your season. And so every
Amen.
season looks different. You know, the
That's
season
true.
that I'm in now, it looks different from 10 years ago, and even, like a year ago. It just looks different. And you know what? It should, because it represents growth. And if you are not growing, then you're not moving forward. You're being stagnant. And so that's what I would just share with your listeners is be kind to yourself. And what I mean by that is, sometimes I think, at least for me, I can put pressure, internal pressure on myself, because I like to do things with excellence. I like to do things a certain way. And I have to sometimes remind myself to take a step back, be calm, and really reflect. Is this something that I should even be concerned about right now? And you know what? 9 times out of 10 is not. It's just the internal pressure that I'm putting on myself that other people aren't even putting on me. And you know what? If
Mhm.
other people can give me grace, then I can give myself some grace. And I'm saying the same to the listeners as well, is give yourself some grace. You don't have to have it all figured out, but you do have to do something. You do have to move,
Mhm.
and you can even figure it out while you're moving. But whatever you do, don't get stuck and trying to figure it all out, or having everything to be perfect, because everything is not always going to just be perfect. And you still have to get the work done. You still have to do your assignment.
Amen. That's
Yeah.
great advice. But before I wrap it up, how'd you like? Because you was with me when I was popping out the trunk doing no anchor. How you like being
Yes.
on live screen?
I love it. I am so happy for you, Jeffrey. I'm just overjoyed. I mean, even before we did the interview today, I sent you a message and I was like, okay, are we doing the live, or are we doing the audio link on LinkedIn? Because I know I sat in on one of your interviews recently, and you had the that feature, which is, I think it's a newer feature on
Yeah, they just
LinkedIn.
added that to LinkedIn.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, I haven't seen this before, but I was really excited about that because I thought it reminded me a little bit of Clubhouse, but only on LinkedIn.
They
And
version of it, basically.
a version of
All
it.
for
That's
all of them good. Mess with all of them.
That's
I would
right.
say.
And you know what? I'm all for it. You know, we were just talking about doing different things and, you know, to expand and grow. And I just have watched how you've grown, not only, you know, with your platform, but also your CD and, you know, and
Yeah,
I'm
that
just
music be
happy.
banging, baby.
That's right. That's
Wait.
right. And I'm just so happy for you. So thank you once again for inviting me to come back and continuing to allow me to follow your journey.
I appreciate you because she
Yeah,
got a garden.
that's
Gotta come
right.
out here. You know, that's
That's
new.
right. You have to come out. You are more than welcome to.
I'm never had to show my face because if it's over there by the Wagner building, that's a building we have that I checked. So you might be
Okay.
right there by that parking structure on
That's
Fridays.
right. We're
I'm
right
like,
next to
okay.
the parking structure. We're on the University of Michigan Dearborn campus, and we're not far from the Environmental Interpretive Center. And right next to the Environmental Interpretive Center, there's like a police station and there's a
Okay.
parking structure. So I think that's what you're talking about.
I'm gonna have to pull up. Well,
Yes.
we
Come
wanna
on. Yes.
we wanna thank my wonderful guest, dyslexic literacy leader, certified teacher, author, greeting card designer, keynote speaker, educational consultant, and Heritage Home and Garden LLC founder and owner, my family, Robbie and Wilson, for sharing her new business venture, all the stuff she got going on, brick and mortar building to come, merchandise to come. A great conversation on Friday.
Yes, absolutely. God bless you. And thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. And get well with that voice.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. Go ahead and cut this out with the outro.